I was walking down the street the other day and kind of so in love with life that I just went like this while I was walking. It's such a wonderfully prayerful pose. And I've done it before, and I've always been amazed by how close it brings you to life. How much it's a walking expression of gratitude and devotion. It's so powerful. And we see this in all of our religious practice. People do this all the time. But I don't know that one totally understands that there's power in it. I was diapering my grandson the other day and wiping him up, and when I reached the genitals he said, "Balls." And then he said, "Funny, funny." And he had really discovered his genitals and was quite in love with them. And my granddaughter, I've noticed, has done the same. And in a funny way, it may be one of the few real discoveries of joy and sort of focus of energies in our body that we ever have in our life. Some people never get beyond that. You discover what scientists now call the G-spot, and you get devoted to it. I mean, literally, you get a life totally devoted to following it, following this passion, following this pleasure zone. And, I mean, no one in this room doesn't get that. It's completely one of the great joys of being alive, is that level of pure pleasure. And then the complexity that goes around with it, or goes along with it, because so often it takes two to tango. And it made me think as I was walking down the street, that there's a whole secret life to the body that most of us know nothing about, because we've never sat still long enough. We've never explored deeply enough the energy field that is our physical form. We really do take for granted that the body is just this muscle group with bones supporting it, and that it has, a need to eat and consume fuel, and a need to excrete that waste product, and it needs to sleep, it needs to move around a bit, and it's kind of just a given that we have these bodies. And everybody has different relationships to their bodies. Some people relate to their bodies with a great deal of interest. I remember being a kid and thinking the whole purpose of my body was to support my head, because I was completely and absolutely devoted to my brain, my thinking, my perceiving, my upper body. And I didn't understand people who went to the gym. I couldn't figure it out. I remember going, why? What are they? As long as I can move around and keep this thing up, I'm pretty much in good place. And I had a strong sexual thing as well. I mean, that kind of got me down, but everything in between was kind of like, I didn't get it exactly. And then I started meditating and sitting, with Rudy for years. I mean, going on 50 years. And I sat every day in stillness. And Rudy taught me about chakras. And chakras are kind of physical and metaphysical energy centers in the body, and anyone who comes to this class is introduced to them. I give an introductory class to the chakras, and I explain what they're all for, in a way how they govern aspects of our material and immaterial life. But it's only when you go into these centers that you discover that the G-spot in your sex organs exists within each of these centers inside you. That there are tangible, blissful, erotic spaces in your heart, in your throat, in your third eye, in the top of your head, in your belly, in your sex organ, and in the base of your spine. And they are tangible, and they are knowable, they are delicious beyond belief, and most people have no awareness. They certainly don't label them chakras, they don't label them energy centers. I do know people who have this wonderful experience of open-heartedness. And they sometimes are so in love with another person or others that they experience this thing, this G-spot of joy and bliss in being with another or with others and feeling this unbelievable love of being. Just a love of being. It's really the heart chakra. It's the heart chakra opening and revealing itself to you. But most of us don't have a label for it. We don't have a map for it. It's just a feeling that comes. And a lot of us misconstrue it and think, well, I need to recreate that moment with that person or that group of people. And you somehow think it has to do with outer events, when in fact it's completely an interior experience. But because we are unaware of our inner body, of our secret body, we don't know that that's a place you can go to and actually open. You can actually go right into your heart chakra, right to the core, and go, boop. And then you can relax with that opening, and the most miraculous thing happens. It just keeps opening. And it opens and opens and opens, and you cannot believe that you can have that much joy within. And that it ripples out so far that their boundaries between inner and outer are just gone. They're dissolved. There's just this love. This little tiny G-spot of love embraces all there is. When your throat chakra opens, you know, you're sitting with your best friend and you're just talking and talking and having the best time ever, and it feels so good. It's so good. You're sharing yourself. You're sharing your being. You're exchanging information. You're exchanging content. And it's going back and forth, and there's this flow, and it's like, why do I feel so good? Why do I feel so good? Because you're open and you're flowing. The secret life of your throat chakra has revealed itself to you. Your navel chakra. When your navel chakra opens, when you are deeply into the functioning of life, into expressing power and transformation in the world, which is what comes out of the navel chakra. When you're functioning in the world, most of you know it this way. You get so lost in doing that you forget time and space. You're just doing. Whatever it may be you're doing. You could be knitting, you could be building a building. You could be practicing for a play. I don't care what it is. When you're in your navel chakra and it's functioning, time and space disappear. You have a doorway to the disappearance of time and space that you don't have to do anything to get to other than be there. Just sit in that space and you watch it go away. And you go, well, that feels good. Wow, I didn't do anything. All I did is sat there. I found my way into the space of doing, and I don't even have to do. Just be. Exude the power of transformative self. It will find an activity, it will find something to do when it needs to, but it doesn't have to find it. You can actually be in it and feel what it means to have the power of life within you. The power to change. You don't have to be changing, just you have the power to change everything. Your sex chakra, I don't have to talk about. You all know that one. You don't know it as a chakra. You don't know it as recreative energy. You just know it as fun, pleasure, conflict sometimes, But mostly it's regenerative and it's beautiful. And you do know when you touch it, when you really explore that space, it's like kind of worth coming into the world to know it. For many people, it's as high and great as it gets. But I'm trying to tell you, it gets high and great all over the place. Your whole body is a sex chakra. Your whole body is available to you in a passionate, powerful expression of awakened, joyous, timeless self. This is what we are here to know. We are here to touch this exquisite space, and then to find the lowest chakra, the Kundalini space, that has an explosive rocket-like capacity to blast off into something so beyond any bodily awareness, so into cosmic truth. And it's sitting inside you. It's been sitting there since the moment you were born. How many people do I talk to in life that know about it? Very few. Very few. They don't know what I'm talking about. Woo 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 woo. It's what no, it's not woo woo. It's part of the extraordinary nature of what we are, the unexplored secret nature of what we are. Within us there are powerful, potent energies that we do not know what to do with. And so what happens is they unleash themselves. They erupt on their own nature. Something can happen in the heart chakra to throw you into spasms of love, compassion, fear, anger, all these things. And you have no control over it. Why? Because you've never once thought of yourself as an energy field that you could master. You've always been the victim of your own lack of awareness. So these forces play out in the fields of the Lord, as they call it sometimes. That's how I look at the body, the field of the Lord. And all of these centers that have this incredible power to be cultivated are growing wild. They're just wild inside you. And why? Well, for a lot of reasons. One, nobody ever told you these centers were there. Nobody ever told you you could take charge of this. Nobody ever gave you permission. Nobody ever instructed you. Our educational system doesn't talk about this stuff. Nothing talks about it. Some of you find your way there by chance, some of you through drugs, some of you through despair. There are different ways and avenues to finding that there's this deep space within you. Depth is powerful. The idea of going deep. What gets you deep? Well, sometimes suffering, sometimes joy, sometimes clarity. You start to go inside and you realize there is a universe of energy force in you that is yours. And if you only use 1/billionth of 1% of it, it clearly works. Look at the world around us. We built the world. We built life. We create new life. We clothe it. We house it. We work within the world. So we're doing something right. But we're using 1/billionth of the possibilities that we have to be in the world. The opportunity to be here and function brilliantly is something very few people take on. Some people do it because they're gifted. Great poets take the third eye chakra, the ability to see deeply into life, and the creative energies that come out of the throat chakra, and they create, and they create, and they create. And they do it because that's what they do. A great, child prodigy, has this energy working in them. But it doesn't mean it transfers or expands into other arenas. So many of these gifted children find themselves suffering because all the other parts of them are not functioning at the same level or even at all. So how do you find balance in all these spaces? How do you get you to be a whole person? How do you get you to function everywhere? That's really an interesting dynamic, because if you don't have a teacher and you don't have a teaching, you don't know where to go, so you'll find it in the little corners you can get it. You go to a bookstore with self-help books. You go to spiritual the spiritual shelf and pull off spiritual books and see what they say, and boy, can that confuse you. You know, I mean, there's so many teachings out there. There's so many ways to explore the world looking outward. But I would say, just look inward. And I would make it very simple. Sit still. Just sit still. Watch what happens. And of course, every one of you knows the minute you sit still, you find nothing but noise. Noisy mind, noisy emotions, noisy body, everything. But break through that. Just discipline. Discipline gets you into stillness. And if you get into stillness, you will begin to find yourself. And you will begin to find, especially if somebody has helped you to find it all, that there are centers we call chakras. They've been talked about in Eastern philosophy for centuries. There are these centers inside your body. You don't have to read books about them. Go into them. Go in them and see what they do. And then you start to discover that your body is a living field of energy, and that you can work with that energy, and the directives for working with that energy are implanted within you. They are clear and they are simple, and you start to find a lot of those directives. You won't know everything. Clearly, we are such complex dynamos that we cannot understand it all, complicated through mind concept. You can't understand through the brain how all this functions, but you can experience it. And you can begin to find these very subtle voices that speak to people like Albert Einstein, people who are able to hear, that go, oh. And I think Einstein wouldn't so much hear the voice as follow the trail to a certain piece of awareness or knowledge or wisdom. A trail that required such focus and such simplicity and such letting go of everything but that awareness, that he could find his way into secrets of the universe that were within. You can do it too. You may not find scientific secrets, but you will find the secrets to your own body. Secrets to who you are. Secrets to what this amazing gift of bodily existence means. It's so incredible. Really, it's like walking down the street and just doing this. I can only tell you my experience of it. You may just feel like, what am I doing? This is so stupid. People are looking at me. Why am I walking like this? You may get into that kind of mode. But trust me, if you do it quietly, somewhere, maybe where there aren't too many people, you're going to feel something. And what it's going to feel like is prayerful, grateful, happy. It's an expression of the joy of being. Why does putting your hands together do that? Why? I don't know. But when you do it, you'll learn it, and then you'll go, oh. And then you find these other things. I was walking that same day. I was walking, and my hands are hanging by my side, and I brought my attention into my hands. And all of a sudden, I felt this exercise that Rudy taught us. It's called negative psychic tension release exercise. You take a breath into your heart through your nose. You hold your breath for about 10 seconds. You ask inside for help to surrender negative psychic tension, and he always said, say negative. And then you feel this stuff coming off your forehead, your top of your head, your temples, your cheeks, your jaws. It goes on your neck, your upper arms, your upper body, goes down your arms into your hands, and then it either drains into the atmosphere or it collects in your hands. And if it collects in your hands, he said, just shake your hands out. And he said, do this 1 minute a day. And he said, do it sitting on the toilet or sitting at work or walking down the street. So here I am walking down the street, and my hands are dangling, and I'm feeling this stuff draining. I'm not even trying. It's just draining. And I'm feeling, wow, this stuff's just draining out of me. It's just freeing me. And I'm feeling my hands, and they feel so alive, so amazing. These hands, what are these hands we have? And the energy is moving out of the hands, through the palm of the hand, over the back of the hand, into the fingers. Each finger feels its own life. The tips of the fingers are vibrant with energy. and the energy just goes whoop. It releases. It just releases. And my hands are like these instruments of energy. And they let energy go out, and they allow energy to stay within. And I talk about in the introductory class when I tell people how to sit for meditation, and you say, sit with your palms up, forefinger, thumb together, because the palms up are the most vulnerable position for your hands to be in. Your hands always want to be in some kind of comfort zone, usually closed. And this means, if you can see this on camera, I'm not interested. I'm totally locked away from the world. But it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes you need to do that. And it's very comforting to do that. But this is totally vulnerable, and this holds energy inside your body. When you open your hands, you actually can move energy around. If you learn, some of you are gifted at this, some of you are not, but you can all learn how to do it. When I teach, I do a lot of what's called mudra work. Mudra work is hands find positions that have energy correlation within. In other words, when my hand goes in a certain position and moves a certain way, a whole new body of energy moves through me. It is orchestral energy. It is so powerful, and it knows exactly what to do in regards to each person I sit with. So my hands begin to move while I am speaking, and I watch what they do. I have no control over it. There's no Bruce doing it. It's just happening, and it is so dynamic. And it reaches into parts of who you are that the mind could never get to. It just feels its way in, the way people who do divining to find water under the ground. It has the same principle. It finds its way into you and finds the rush, the flow, the dynamic that needs to be moved or changed or altered in some way. It just goes in. How does the hand know how to do this? It's the secret life of hands. It knows. The body has knowledge. It has wisdom. If you watch any paintings of Buddha or statues, the hands are positioned in all these different positions. Trust me, they are powerful modes. They are powerful transmission, and they are powerful ways of holding energy, and they are diagnostic, because they can find their way into another human being if you're subtle enough and open enough, and actually see the thing that needs to be helped. And that's really an interesting idea. Why are they geared to help? Why are they geared toward healing? Why are we able to give to others? I mean, I've talked about this a lot in class, but if somebody is ailing around you and you just put your hand on their shoulder, unbelievable energies flow. Unbelievable. Or you can do this if you know how to do it gently. It's so powerful what you can do for another human being using your hands, using your gaze, using your voice, using your compassion. You can help people. And not only can you, something fundamentally underlying you wants to do that. More than anything. And the return is unbelievable. Why? Because you're helping yourself. Other is you. I think some of you know that. Other is no other than you. It's all one being. We are one being. And when we are limited to our own individual sort of tiny little universe, when we are caught in our own whatever, self-striving, suffering, reaching drama, when you are caught by that, you miss 99.99% of what's happening around you. When you can begin to get quiet enough, you start to see the self-striving dissipate. It gets quieter and quieter, and suddenly you are rippling out into being what you are, which is everything. Your consciousness embraces itself. The secret life of your body is that your body doesn't end with the physical state, with its material form. It moves outward. Those of you who discover hand movement and mudra work, will discover that you can actually energize another person. You can also energize yourself, just like this. It's remarkable. These are secrets, and they're not secret. You can find this out yourself. You have the capacity to heal you. And when you heal you, that healing ripples out and heals others. You know, it's so crazy because I talk about it as a secret. And the idea that it is a secret is strange because it's right there. Everything I'm saying is completely available. But I think for some of you, especially if your minds are very active and distracted, you'll do this and nothing will happen. You'll do a mudra position and go, what's that for? You know, why am I doing that? You know, it takes a while to get into the secret part. It doesn't just reveal itself, which is why it's called secret. If it just revealed itself, we'd all be walking around in a state of complete paradisiacal bliss all the time. We would. And could. I mean, that is actually what the world maybe one day will become. But it certainly can become that for you now, if you want it to, by getting simple, quiet, beginning to feel your body not as a pile of bones and a layer of flesh and skin, but as energy. It's energy. And when it starts to ripple out of the chakra centers and starts to dissolve the boundaries between you and everything else, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just energy. And that energy is not personal, it's universal. It has you in it, but it is total. It's vast and absolute reality. And you are that energy. Right now, you're that energy collapsed into a body that you, I believe, chose to get into. I mean, I can debate that. I don't know the answer for that. Why are we born? Why? Who knows? You know, we come into this for some purpose. You know, it may be simply to know what we are. I think that's one of the great teachings that I happen to love. We come into the universe to find out what we are, what I am. Get rid of the plural. To know thyself. And as you start to know thyself, you'll start from the outer, obvious, tangible, easy to access physical, into the gentle, subtle, metaphysical reality of who you are, and you will discover that all the boundaries of physical flesh and bone dissolve into energy fields of beauty. That's the ride we're on, learning to enter into the secret realm of the body is just deepening the truth that you are aware of. It's a deepening of awareness and consciousness that will benefit everyone. And again, that's one of the strange elements. You think you're doing it for you, but in the end, what you realize is that you are a gift to the world. And I mean that individually. Each one of you are a gift to the world. And if you don't know you're a gift to the world, if you walk around thinking, why me, God? You're missing the point. You're missing the point. And I don't know how much more to anoint you than what I try to do in class. I try to metaphysically touch you and tell you you are a gift. And I will tell you, if you're not a gift to the world, you're a gift to me. And I feel it every time I sit with you. I am the beneficiary of you. I would like you to be the beneficiary of you. And then I would like the rest of the world to be the beneficiary of you. You have that capacity. You do. You really do. And if you don't know that, what are you doing here? What are you doing? You know, everybody wants to make money and get toys and have cars and houses. And yeah, I get that. I completely get it. I think it's really important to get rid of that, to do it as fast as you can, and if you can't do it, give it up, and just be happy with what you got. Because what you really want is so beyond that. You know, you're not your house, you're not your car, you are this, and this wafts out beyond house, car, planet, solar system, galaxy, it just goes on and on. Who cares about the house and the car? I mean, we do. I don't want to diminish that, but go in, go in, and that's where it comes from. The joy comes from that. I know people with big houses who are living them miserably. Beautiful cars that get scratched and they suffer. Go in, go in. Find the secret life of your body. And you will find everything you are looking for, and you will see that it's out there around you, and it's completely within you. There's no demarcation, there's no separation. It's all one thing, and that is you. Any questions? Boy, that was clear. You all got it.
It's beautiful. And you know, I loved what you said about we're all one being. I was wondering if you'd just say it again. It was so beautiful.
Well, I mean, it's probably the great teaching of all of our practice, you know, and the great awakening, the great liberation, the great enlightenment that one experiences in life, the Buddha idea of enlightenment, is that there's no separation, that it's one entity knowing itself. And it does it through pieces and parts, you know, and then those pieces and parts, if they're lucky, get to have a moment where the veil of separation disappears and you go, I am that. I am that. And then it goes even deeper, and it goes to I am. It's a great biblical teaching. Be still and know that I am that. But it's also truncated sometimes into be still and know that I am. That isn't that I am and God is. It's I am. And that is, it's a big ownership. It's a big revelation. You know, and it doesn't mean I am in the ego sense, because that's where people get in trouble. And the most dangerous people on the planet are those who think I am as an ego-centered being. That's dangerous, and it happens all the time. The real liberation is the I am, that, and there's no, or not that there's no me, but the me finds its perspective. The individual me is molecularly minuscule compared to what it truly is. And that's who you are. Know it. Know it. It's not here, because that's kind of where it gets into trouble. Know it through your whole being. Do this, literally. Walk down the street saying thank you. Don't even say thank you, just walk down the street doing this. Watch what happens to your whole body. It's so amazing. And if you can get past people looking at you, or do it in a private place. Even walk around your house like this, even 2 rooms for a minute, does something. It really does. It's just the beginning, you know? And it's so subtle. I mean, I don't know how to describe my own work, but I can literally move my finger, I don't know if you can see this, from here to here, and it's a complete shift. Another shift, another shift, another shift, another shift, another shift, another shift, another shift. The shift in my body is phenomenal. It really is Beethoven. It's a completely beautiful orchestration, and it's coming from here, and it knows where to go. It knows how to create the chords. It knows how to create the notes, the melody line. It knows everything, and it just finds its way. I will never be Beethoven in the musical sense, but I have a Beethoven quality in my hand movements, in my sense of the movement of energy in the body, because I've spent 50 years discovering it. I've gone into the secret. You know? And there's secrets beyond secrets. I mean, you know, I hate the word secret even, but it's just the unexplored, unknown part of ourself. That's what we're looking for. And everybody has access to it, and almost nobody goes there.
I think I remember maybe spiritual cannibalism, really saying that once you start moving energy, not to let it get stuck in the head. I also had a spiritual developed friend told me to, when I meditate, to concentrate on the head chakra. how to explore that without getting stuck there.
Well, I think that if he said you should explore it or you need to, whatever he said, let me put it this way: when you need to be in the head chakra, you will feel. I mean, if you need to get out of your head, or if your head's stuck, your energy field will go towards stuckness. It always does. It will go toward discomfort. It goes there very quickly. And if you sit there in that space and you don't run from it and you just sit with it and breathe into it, it begins to dissolve. It breaks up. If it doesn't break up, then you're going to sit there for a long time, but it will be valuable to do that. But wherever you feel tension, wherever you feel a pain or difficulty, that's the place of work. Go there, And then when you feel still and quiet and aligned, then you can start to use your chakras to see which are blasting out joy and bliss and happiness. You can go into that field. You'll find the mind kind of knows where to go. It's very smart. The intelligence within us, again, it's part of the secret life of the body. Intelligence is intelligent. It really is. And give it its due. It knows what to do. It knows what to do more than we think it knows. It's not the intelligence of thinking, because that's bodily consciousness. It's a deeper version of not thinking. It's a kind of knowing. And this knowing is really, really intelligent.
I just wanted to share that the Qigong that I do, this position is used all the time.
Sure.
Between, it's like the uniting of heaven and earth, kind of. It's,
yes.
And just doing this in Qigong, it's like, whew.
Yes. This is the uniting of heaven and earth on some level. And it's not limited to any practice.
Right.
This is, you walk into any church and people are doing this. People are praying. You sit and watch people do this. They unite something. They bring something together. There's something about one hand touching the other. It's why we have two. And it's really, really is. That's one of the secrets of all of this, is touching yourself is one of the most amazing sensations there is. It's amazing. It takes time to get to where you touch the third eye, you touch your throat chakra, your heart chakra, and you actually feel something, but you can actually go there without touching it. But because touch is, what if you don't have a body that will let you do that? You can't possibly be limited by that if you have a paralytic state, and you can't touch. And what, are you limited from an energy field? No, the energy is not touched by the physical. It's really not. You can have all of this experience without being physically able to do it. It's a metaphysical state, and metaphysics don't get paralyzed. Well, that's not totally true. People get stuck. Just like Anna was saying, people get locked up in various places. I watch people with stuck hearts all the time, and stuffed minds that don't work. That they're just locked into this a whole lifetime like that. And we're seeing it in the political process. I don't want to talk about that so much, but we're seeing people who are deeply stuck and deeply blocked, with huge navel chakras expressing great power. Boy, oh boy, does that complicate the world. There's so much to learn here. There's so much to learn, and the funny thing is, the learning happens not so much with books, not so much with the world outside teaching you, but sit quietly inside and watch this teaching arise. It's just there. It's there for you. Okay. Next week I'm in LA. The week after that we'll be back here. So have a good week off. Go out and have brunch, have a good time, enjoy yourselves, and see you when we get back. Thank you.